Welcome back to the Atari ST Nostalgia GFA Basic tour. In the previous video we explored drawing graphics on the screen using the mouse, which was quite nice and fancy. In this video, however, we will go back to text, putting text on screen, but we will make it a bit more fancy, even more so than the print at command we used before. So let's go into the editor. And as you can see, I've put the editor in direct mode, and I want you just to see what we previously explored was the print at command, which could put texts at a certain column and row on the screen. For instance, if I want to print Atari ST Nostalgia somewhere on the right and on the top, I can do that. But the only thing you can do is really do it with an accuracy on column and row, and you can't really format the text in any way. So if you want to put the text more accurate and format it, actually to put it more accurately, there is a command called text. And text, really what it does is you put some coordinates, so let's say in this case at 50.200, and then you put a text that you want to put there. So in this case, the coordinates are not defined by a column and a row, but they are really the pixels, so an x coordinate and a y coordinate. So at this case, 50 pixels from the right and 300 pixels from the top, which is somewhere in the left bottom corner. And as you can see, it put the same text there, but it works in a different way. But of course, the text still looks pretty standard. Because to actually make the text a bit more fancy, we used the command def text, and def text is actually a command to set the style of the text that I want to put on screen. And it has 4 variables, and I will just type the words out so it's easier to explain. You define a color, a style, I can define an angle, and lastly I can define a size. Of course, if I press enter now, it will give a syntax error. The command doesn't work by typing text. You actually type numbers here. But this is just for explanation purpose. So the first number you put is the number for the color, which in monochrome mode means 0 is white and the 1 is black. And in the medium resolution, you can have between 0 and 3 for one of the 4 colors of the current color palette. And in low resolution mode, you can use 16 colors. So this number can be anywhere between 0 and 15 to define any of the colors within the palette. Now the style is a set of predefined styles, and there are a few styles available which all have their specific numbers. The number 0 is reserved for the normal style, so that's basically text only without any formatting. If I wanted to have the text bolded, I would have to add a 1. Number 2 is, the value of 2 is for light, 4 is for italic, 8 is for underline, and 16 is for outline. We will come back to what these sizes look like, these styles look like later in this video. But as you can hear, these are actually pretty distinct numbers, and looking at the numbers, they are actually powers of 2, which means they are just specific bits that are set for that style. And if I want to combine them, what I do is, for instance, if I want bold and italic, I take the 1 from bold and the value of 4 from italic, I add them together and the number becomes 5. So the number 5 will basically set the bit for bold and italic, and so on and so on. I can define it the way I want. Angle is basically the angle in which the text is written. And for this command, you can actually only use 4 angles. And it's a value with multiples of 900, and it will rotate counterclockwise. So 0 is the standard from left to right. If I want to go from bottom to top, I will put 900. If I want to write from right to left, it will actually also be upside down. In that case, you use 1800, and 2700 will write from top to bottom. And the size can basically be any number between 1 and 32. So 32 is the biggest text you can set, and we will see that the command actually gets quite slow when you use this big size. But it's you should use that command with care. But I will try to set an example of defined text. Let's say our color is still 1. The style I want is actually bold and light, so it's 1 plus 2, that equals 3. The angle I want to write it in is actually 900. I want to go from bottom to top, and the size is the biggest I can get, which in this case is 32. And now I can actually define, let's go from 320 and 350, so in the middle of the screen and quite at the bottom, because I'm writing quite big text, so I have to start quite low. And I again choose Atari ST Nostalgia for my text. And as you can see what happens, it writes the text from bottom to top. You could also see it was actually quite slow. So it's basically creating graphics for every character and then drawing those graphics on screen. And this is the bolded text, and it's, yes, you can see it light. It's a sort of gray scale color. Basically it's just white and black pixels alternating each other. And this is the way you can put the text on screen. And of course I can clear the screen. Now remember that anytime I use the text command again, for instance, I go at 400 to 50 and I type just hello or something, it doesn't matter what I write. I can use the command over and over again. It will actually remember the last def texts. So the last text definition I gave, it will remember, and it will use that in all subsequent text commands. So there's some stuff you have to know about this command using graphical text before we go through all the styles. I have written some code to show you all the styles, but I first want to show you some example code to actually show you something different. So this is a really simple piece of code. As you can see, what it does, it sets the fills to solid black. Then I will fill the screen from the middle, so the screen will turn entirely black. I will define my text as a black text without any further formatting. Sorry, it's bolded, so I choose a 1 here. The angle is just normal, so I won't go, I just will go standard from left to right. The size will be 32. And then I will write Atari ST Nostalgia rules and wait for a user input. Now, let's see what happens if I do it like this. As you can see, it did put the text, but it put the text on top of the black fill, but also you can see that the background of the text is actually white. And it's a solid white, it's not transparent. So if I want to do something really fancy with different colors of text on different colors of background, for instance, this doesn't actually look that good. Of course, one way, because actually I want to have white text on a black background, so what I could try is just change the def text to 01032, which makes the text white, and hopefully that will make it more fancy. So let's see what happens. And actually, it's not what I wanted. What you can see now, there's still the black background that I used with the fill command. But then it puts this graphical box of text on top of that black background, and it's white text, and the background of the text is actually still white. It's still a solid white, so I can't even read what's written now. It's just a white box. And what we need to do is actually, we need to change the graphics mode that Basic is in. It supports different modes. And if I choose graph mode 1, which is the default that it actually also always chooses, we will see that the result remains exactly the same. So it is still, it puts the white text, but it puts it on a solid white background that's actually part of this text command. So this is not what we want. So the way to go about this in this case is to choose graph mode 2, which is not a replace mode, but a transparent mode, which means the background of the text in the text box is actually, so within that box, it draws the text, but the background, so where it didn't do anything, it will be transparent. And then it will look more fancy, as you can see, because this is actually the result that we want. You have to remember this also when you work in low resolution mode with different colors. There will always be, in graph mode 1, there will always be a solid background in the text, and I think it even will be always white. You may be able to change it, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, it's a result. Mostly what you want is this, the text only, but any background of the text box actually, it should not interfere with what's already on the background. So graph mode 2, this graph mode command is actually quite an important one. But going back to the different text styles, because that was actually the part that made the text fancy, we want to go through the different styles to have a look, to see what they look like in different directions. And I've prepared a little bit of code for that. The code, what it actually does is it counts to all the styles starting with normal and going all the way up to 31, which is the sum of 16, 8, 4, 2 and 1. So all the styles combined. And then I will count the angle, and as you can see, I will count backwards from 2700 to 0 in steps of 900. So step minus 900, it means I will choose the different directions, but I will go clockwise instead of counterclockwise. And for every step, these are again 2 embedded for next statements, I will clear the screen. At the middle and the top of the screen, I will type actually the style number, so we can see which number of style that actually is, so we can use it later. I will define the text as the style number and the value for angle that was generated by the counters. Still go for a size of 32, because the bigger it is, the better we can see it, I guess. And then from the middle of the screen, I will put a text saying fancy, huh? And then I will pause for a little while, and it will go through all the angles, and when it's done for all the 4 angles, it will actually wait for me to press a key to go to the next style and do the same trick again. So let's see what happens. Now as you can see, yeah, it looks quite fancy. Now it's bolded, style 1. This is light, style 2, style 3 is the one we used before. This is light and bolded. And now style 4. And now we actually saw something weird happening. When I go into italic, you can see that actually, except for the normal ones, you can see that the text doesn't fit. It doesn't look correct. So I will stop the code for now. And this is because it creates this text, but it creates graphics for every character, and then it draws it character by character, which also makes the procedure really slow. That's why it takes so long to put this text put this text in the screen. But it also means it will, because it's in default graph mode 1, it's in replace mode again. So it will actually draw the background of one character on top of the other, and then obscuring part of the other character. So when you use this command, you really want to use it in graph mode 2. Yeah, as you can see, I will run again, because that will actually fix the problem. So we went to this style, bold, light, bold and light. Now it will go to italic, and as you can see, now you can actually read the text in all directions. And yeah, now it's italic and light, italic, bold and light. And of course now it will go into default underlined, and then it will go, yeah, bold, of light, bold, light, under. You can see it basically goes to the same sequence, but it adds one extra effect. So I will go a little bit further, because I know that style 16 is actually the outline style, which is this one. This is also one that looks quite nice to use in programs. And as you can see, if you bold it, yeah, the text gets quite long. But you can also see when the text is very long, it actually doesn't replace the text in the top. It's sort of transparent in it. So they don't, there's no white background covering that text also. But yeah, as you can see, especially when it has to do, the more fancy the style gets, the longer it takes the computer to actually calculate and draw the graphics. So be careful with this command. The performance is not very high. I think it's mainly very useful if you want to use it for like nice title screens and stuff, to spice them up a little bit. And we are almost through with our styles. Let's just go through them and end the program. As you can see, outline and light looks a bit strange, but yeah, those were all the styles you can use. So yeah, this bit of code is actually a way to sort of cycle through the styles to see which one you want to use. You can write a number down and then use that one in your code. And that's basically, yeah, that's all I wanted to show you in this video. So we learned how to use a bit more fancy way of putting text on screen, to do it actually with pixel accuracy instead of just column and row accuracy. And we can see that we have a lot of different styles that we can use, but we have to change the graphics mode to make all the styles work, especially when you put it on existing backgrounds. But this is a great way to make any screen look a bit more fancy in still quite a simple way. So I hope you enjoyed watching that, and you can use it in your code when you start coding yourself. And with that, I would like to end the video, and I will hope to see you in the next one.